Hello everyone. In this video, I will talk about how isolation is killing you and how you can leverage the power of community, whether you're developing YouTube content or a better product or simply trying to make friends. None of this is possible when you're trying to figure all of it out alone. So this will include practical action steps that you can implement right away so that you can actually be making progress in what you're building and have connection along the way. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. If you're working alone, then you don't get feedback loops. So what is a feedback loop? Well, if you're looking casual and you look in the mirror, then the mirror reflects your appearance back to you, and then you're like, "Oh man, like my hair is kind of messy, like I got to fix my hair." And then you adjust your appearance. And that's feedback. So you look at the mirror reflects your appearance back to you, and then based off of what you see, you work with that feedback to make adjustments. This means you want to build in public so that you can actually have your creation be reflected back to you, because otherwise your feedback loop will be totally theoretical and based off of your own thoughts instead of tangible response from people. So first of all, this is the old channel that I used to run, and this grew to about 60,000 subscribers, and here I was involved with community. So I was able to make really good videos because I was getting a sense of like what people wanted to see. As I stopped this channel and started a different chapter of my life, I started this channel. And as you can see in these older videos, when I started this channel, it was just very private. Like I didn't tell anyone about what I was building. I kept this all to myself. As you can see, none of this really felt like natural content to me to make. I people actually asked me like what I was even doing, like what I was making, and I didn't tell them. So I built all of this in private, and none of it really caught traction, and none of it actually felt natural to myself. So this left me pretty confused. But this started to change when I actually began to enter a community, and then the content started to feel much more natural, and I could see how it would actually apply to people, and I could get feedback on how to make it better. And here's another example from David Iya. He's an entrepreneur on Forbes 30 Under 30. And his story was, I built in isolation and lost 6 months. Let me take you back to 2021. My co-founder and I spent 6+ months building a product in secret. We were proud to be moving in stealth mode. No feedback, no validation, no audience, just building daily. 6 months later, we launched to silence. No users, no buzz, no feedback. We should have built in public, gathered feedback weekly, and pre-sold before building. Instead, we wasted time, and what I learned is that isolation kills products. Community creates and refines them. So this is just one example, but back to the presentation, that's the importance of actually building in public and sharing it with people so that you can actually get feedback. And of course, you do need to spend your alone time building, just as long as it is coupled with that feedback process. This leads to what happens in a community. When you do this in a community, you start to see that you're not just talking to people who can buy your product. That is very limiting because that prevents you from learning from other people and also having collaborators. Because when you work with partners and people who you can collaborate with, you get much more reach. For example, I did some networking calls, and one person that I connected with was on the same level as me. And what he did was he posted to a big community that shouted out my name. Now, he wasn't ahead of me, he wasn't behind me. We were just kind of, making a connection, but we were teammates. And what happened was he shared and increased my visibility, and that helped me a lot. And if I was only focused on people who are behind me so that I could, get clients, then that would have prevented me from that sort of opportunity. The other role that you might step into is a guide role. So maybe someone isn't even paying you, but you start to connect with someone and you realize they remind you of the younger version of yourself. And that means that you can be a guide to this person. And then you can also be the apprentice. You can be a disciple basically of other people who are ahead of you. So maybe if you're, pretty solid in health and fitness, but somebody is ahead of you in business, then you could be an apprentice to that person and learn about what they're doing. This is why community is so important, because it's the most efficient way to elevate your actual baseline. And you're surrounded by people who naturally charge higher prices, naturally deliver more quality, and the effect that that has on you is that you start to do the same. So that's why doing it with a community is important, because you get these three roles. In terms of the action steps that I recommend for this is, first, choose one community. I'll talk about how you can choose a community. Now, there will be all sorts of groups and small circles and communities. These are all great, but the problem with joining all of these smaller communities is that you spread yourself very thin and you stop becoming a credible person in one area because you're just all over the place and you're making a bunch of shallow connections. But basically, you want to look for a community that has a good vibe, like you actually like the people. It has a good size, like it's big enough and you know that there are people there, and it's active and alive, because that way you can actually have the conversation move. So choose one community and then next, engage there, comment. There's posts, there are direct messages, and there are comments. My recommendation, if you're just starting, is to just comment. In the comment section is where conversation and connection really starts. So commenting is a great way to actually spark those connections and also get a feel for the community. So if you're in one community, it's a community you like, then this is a great way to have a role model of what you might want to build and how you can build something that people actually want to be a part of. You can understand problems and share solutions really just through commenting in one community. And lastly, relationships take time. So whether it's a client, whether it's a friend, or whether it's a mentor, these are relationships. And it starts from not knowing someone and it's unfamiliar to knowing someone and it's familiar, which means you develop that trust and credibility through time and through service. One of those relationships is clients. So when you choose a community and you start to understand problems as you just engage there and talk with people, then you can start to see like, okay, I already had a sense of what my program was, or I already had a sense of maybe the business I wanted to start, or maybe you didn't. But either way, one of the relationships that starts to happen is client relationships, because you realize, oh, I can help this person. And I'll talk about now the two ways that you can usually go about helping someone. So the first way is coaching. Coaching is simply having a program, maybe you have a course and you do weekly calls, for example, to coach someone on moving a step forward. So if someone is really good at business, but they're struggling in fitness, then they would get a health coach. And this is someone who would check in with them every week, go through their numbers, and essentially just move them forward in that domain. And in a bit, I'll show you exactly what this looks like for our community that we run. And then there is service delivery. This is where someone is usually ahead of you in a particular domain or industry, and you can just help them save some time or money. For example, I did a lot of video editing. I'm not coaching someone on video editing. Well, I did do that, but it was mainly that somebody needed a video to be produced. So I would shoot it, I would edit it, I would make sure it's ready to get shared. And that was a service delivery because I was saving them time and money. You know, this person probably doesn't want to learn all this editing software and, spend all this time actually producing the video. So that was the service that I delivered to them. And both of these are high ticket. So you can charge anywhere between $1,000 to $10,000. Some people charge $20K, $50K just for a really good coaching program. So this is why school is usually where this takes place, because what happens on school is you meet people first. That's this satellite, is actually meeting people. And then second, you nurture them. That's what happens in a community. So the nice thing about this nurture phase on school is that by hosting a community, you get a better sense of what problems people really need solved. And that means that you can share something that would really help them, which means there's a value exchange. And that's where money comes into the picture, is because in the nurturing phase, you understood problems. In the delivering part, you actually share the solutions. So this can be a free course for some people, or it can be a paid course. So I have done both. Like, I have a free course for anyone who wants it. And then I also have paid solution with my partner for actually delivering that in a monetized community. And this is how building a school community leads to income. It leads to impact because you're nurturing and understanding and just connecting with a lot of people. And it leads to freedom because you get creative freedom and you get financial freedom by balancing out what you want to create and learning what people want to see more of. So whether you're building a YouTube channel or a product or a program, these are the 3 stages involved, and these are crucial because it is impossible to actually make money without providing value. And the only way to provide value is to understand problems so that you can actually share solutions. So what this looks like for us is through school and through YouTube, we have traffic. So this is attracting all these members. Second, we have people enter the community and we just host them. So here we're hosting calls, we direct message the members, we have comments and posts and all of that. And then lastly, we have a paid program. So anyone who's been in the community that wants to have more time with us and have a bigger solution, they can pay for that, and it's in the community, and that's how we monetize. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that this video is helpful. Let me know if you like this sort of content and this sort of style, and I would be happy to make adjustments. So thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.